The horrible deaths of Annas and Caiaphas, the Sadducees who played pivotal roles in the trial and crucifixion of Jesus Christ. Before we dive into this gripping story, please make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Now let's embark on this spiritual journey together. Who were Annas and Caiaphas? To understand the gravity of their roles and ultimate fates, we need to first look at who Annas and Caiaphas were. Both were high priests in Jerusalem during the time of Jesus. Annas, though not the acting high priest during Jesus' trial, held significant influence. He had been high priest from 6 to 15 AD and maintained his power through his sons and son-in-law Caiaphas, who was the acting high priest from 18 to 36 AD. The high priesthood during this period was not just a religious position but also a political one. The Sadducees, the sect to which Annas and Caiaphas belonged, held considerable authority and were known for their wealth, power, and collaboration with Roman authorities. Their involvement in Jesus' trial was not just about religious blasphemy, but also about maintaining their socio-political control. The Gospels provide a detailed account of the roles played by Annas and Caiaphas in the arrest, trial, and crucifixion of Jesus. It was Caiaphas who famously argued that it was better for one man to die than for the whole nation to perish. John 11:50. This statement set the stage for the conspiracy to arrest Jesus. After Jesus was arrested in Gethsemane, he was first taken to Annas, who interrogated him. Following this, Jesus was sent to Caiaphas and the Sanhedrin, Jewish council. The trial was fraught with illegalities, including false witnesses and proceedings held at night, which violated Jewish legal standards. Ultimately, Jesus was condemned for blasphemy and handed over to the Roman governor Pontius Pilate for execution. The horrible deaths of Annas and Caiaphas. While the Bible does not provide explicit details about the deaths of Annas and Caiaphas, historical accounts and traditions offer some insights. These narratives suggest that their ends were as dramatic and terrible as their lives were influential. Annas's death is shrouded in mystery, but some historical sources and apocryphal writings hint at a violent and ignominious end. According to one tradition, Annas was killed during the Jewish War, 66-70 AD, when the Romans besieged Jerusalem. The Zealots, a radical Jewish group, considered Annas a collaborator with the Romans and executed him as a traitor. This violent death could be seen as a form of divine retribution for his role in the crucifixion of Jesus. The man who had once wielded immense power and influence met a brutal end, possibly reflecting the biblical principle of reaping what you sow. Caiaphas's fate is slightly better documented. Historical sources indicate that after Jesus' crucifixion, Caiaphas continued to serve as high priest until he was deposed by the Roman governor Vitellius around 36 AD. His subsequent fate is not recorded in detail, but there are traditions and speculations about his demise. One such tradition suggests that Caiaphas was ostracized and fell into disgrace after his deposition. Some accounts even claim that he committed suicide out of guilt and despair over his role in Jesus' death. This narrative aligns with the tragic theme of a powerful man brought low by his own actions. The deaths of Annas and Caiaphas serve as poignant reminders of the biblical themes of justice and divine retribution. Their roles in Jesus' crucifixion, seen by many as the ultimate act of injustice, are contrasted with their own ignoble ends. From a theological perspective, their deaths can be interpreted as part of God's divine plan and justice. The very men who sought to destroy Jesus and preserve their own power were eventually undone, not by human hands alone, but by the unfolding of divine justice. As we unravel the dark and dramatic fates of Annas and Caiaphas, we invite you to reflect on the profound lessons these stories hold. What do their lives and deaths reveal about the nature of power, justice, and divine retribution? How do these narratives inspire your own faith journey? If you found this exploration enlightening, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our future deep dives into biblical mysteries. To fully grasp the significance of Annas and Caiaphas' roles, we must delve into the broader context of the Sadducees and their influence in first-century Judea. The Sadducees were one of the major Jewish sects of the time, alongside the Pharisees and Essenes. Unlike the Pharisees, who believed in the resurrection of the dead and the existence of angels and spirits, the Sadducees were more conservative, denying these beliefs and focusing strictly on the written Torah. The Sadducees were typically wealthy aristocrats holding significant political power. They controlled the temple in Jerusalem and maintained a cooperative relationship with the Roman occupiers, which helped them retain their status and influence. This collaboration with Rome made them unpopular with many common Jews, who viewed them as corrupt and out of touch with the needs of the people. Annas and Caiaphas epitomized the Sadducean archetype: powerful, wealthy, and politically astute. Their actions during Jesus' trial were driven by a desire to maintain their power and prevent any disturbances that could jeopardize their position. When examining the trial of Jesus, it becomes clear that the actions of Annas and Caiaphas were as much about politics as they were about religion. Jesus' growing popularity among the people posed a threat to the status quo. His teachings challenged the authority of the religious leaders, and his actions, such as cleansing the temple, directly confronted their economic interests. By condemning Jesus to death, Caiaphas sought to eliminate a perceived threat and preserve the delicate balance of power. His statement in John 11:50, "It is better for one man to die for the people than for the whole nation to perish," highlights this pragmatic approach. Caiaphas believed that sacrificing Jesus would prevent potential uprisings and maintain peace with the Romans. The deaths of Annas and Caiaphas are often linked to the broader context of Jerusalem's destruction in 70 AD. The Jewish-Roman War, which culminated in the destruction of the temple, marked a turning point in Jewish history. The power structures that Annas and Caiaphas had worked so hard to preserve were ultimately obliterated. The fall of Jerusalem and the temple's destruction can be seen as a form of divine judgment against the corrupt religious leadership. Jesus had prophesied this destruction, weeping over Jerusalem and lamenting the city's impending doom. Luke 19:41-44. The brutal end of Annas and the disgrace of Caiaphas serve as personal manifestations of this broader judgment. Modern reflections. In reflecting on the story of Annas and Caiaphas, it's important to consider its relevance to our own time. The themes of power, corruption, and divine justice are timeless, resonating across centuries and cultures. The story invites us to examine our own lives and the structures of power in our societies. How do we respond to those who challenge the status quo? Are we willing to stand up for justice and integrity even when it is difficult or unpopular? The fates of Annas and Caiaphas remind us that ultimately, moral compromise and the abuse of power lead to downfall and disgrace. As we conclude this deep dive into the lives and deaths of Annas and Caiaphas, we invite you to reflect on the enduring lessons of their story. What insights have you gained about power, justice, and integrity? How can these lessons inform your own faith journey and daily life? To encourage us, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our future deep dives into biblical mysteries. Thank you for joining us on this spiritual journey. Until next time, may you be blessed with wisdom and understanding.